Welcome back to the first episode of Sports Night in Auburn of 2022. I'm Grace DeLeon.
And I'm Michaela Kelly. We have a lot in store for you today, including men's basketball, Auburn gymnastics, women's basketball, and plenty more Auburn sports.
The number one Auburn Tigers basketball team has been on a tear this season with a 21-2 record led by freshman power forward Jabari Smith, sophomore center Walker Kessler, and an elite supporting cast.
The Tigers' first loss comes from UConn in a double overtime game during the Battle for Atlantis in November. Since then, Auburn has been on a 19-game winning streak, which was the longest in Division I basketball, and currently hold the top spot in the AP poll. That was until the loss to Arkansas last night, but more on that later.
The Tigers narrowly escaped an upset on Saturday against the University of Georgia. Here's Eagle Eye's Colin Beiersdorf on the game.
The Auburn Tigers traveled to Athens on Saturday to take on the Georgia Bulldogs in what would be Katie Johnson's homecoming game. It would be another Auburn guard who was the hero for the Tigers, as Wendell Green hit the game-winning shot with just under 4 seconds left to play. The game would be a story of two halves. It looked to be all Tigers in the first half as they took a 12-point lead heading into the break. The Bulldogs came out in the second half and went on an 11-0 run to bring it to a 1-point game with 15 minutes remaining in the match. After going back and forth, the Bulldogs would take their first lead of the game with 8 minutes and 20 seconds left. In the last 8 minutes and 20 seconds, the lead would change 4 times and there would be 9 ties. Katie Johnson led the Tigers in scoring with 20 points in his return to Stegman Coliseum. The guard would also add 4 rebounds to his performance. Wendell Green would fall in right behind Johnson, scoring 19 points, which included not only the game winner, but the sophomore also hit both his free throws to tie the game at 70 with just under 2 minutes to play. Walker Kessler was the last Tiger to hit double figures. The big man finished with 10 points and was just 1 rebound shy of a double-double. The Tigers are back in action on the road again, this time against Arkansas in Fayetteville. The game is Tuesday, February 8th at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time and will air on ESPN2. This has been Colin Beiersdorf reporting for Eagle Eye TV.
Auburn has struggled on the road since being ranked number one with a margin of victory of only 1.5 points after the game against Georgia. Despite recent troubles, sophomore guard Wendell Green Jr. was named the SEC Player of the Week for his performance against Alabama and Georgia.
Last night, Auburn fell to the Arkansas Razorbacks on the road. The game was neck and neck and eventually went into overtime, where the Razorbacks pulled away to end Auburn's 19-game winning streak.
Zeb Jasper was still out with a non-COVID-related illness against Arkansas, and the team felt his absence for the second game. Wendell Green Jr. felt the most of Jasper not playing. Green played a team-high 38 minutes.
The Tigers struggled on the road again, shooting just 37.5% from the field. The Tigers left the game at the free throw line, shooting 8 for 17, compared to Arkansas's 26 for 32.
Walker Kessler was the MVP for Auburn, posting 16 points and 19 rebounds with 7 blocks before fouling out in overtime. Jabari Smith led the team in scoring with 20 points and 9 rebounds. J.D. Notae for Arkansas was the MVP of the game. Notae played a game-high 41 minutes and had 28 points to lift the Razorbacks to victory.
Auburn will host College Game Day and Texas A&M this Saturday in Auburn Arena for the annual Outlive game. The game will tip off at 11 a.m. Central Time and will be on ESPN.
In other news for Auburn basketball, the Auburn Arena will be renamed the Neville Arena on March 4th with an on-court dedication March 5th against South Carolina in the final game of the year. The Nevilles donated the, quote, single largest gift, end quote, in Auburn history. When we come back, we'll take a look at Auburn gymnastics, women's basketball, and more. You're watching Sports Night in Auburn.
Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn.
Auburn gymnastics lost to the number 8 LSU Tigers on Saturday. it was still a performance to be proud of as the Tigers tied their all-time best score, finishing with 197.750 compared to LSU's 197.975.
Suni Lee captured her first collegiate 10. The score came on bars and was the first perfect 10 by an Auburn gymnast since 2004. Lee secured the all-around title with a score of 39.825, an Auburn record.
Lee wasn't the only Tiger to put on a performance. Sophia Groth recorded career highs in all 3 events she competed in. Darian Goborn tied her career high on vault, while Tara Walsh set a career high outright.
The Tigers return to Auburn Arena on Friday, February 11th, as they take on Missouri. The 2 teams will face off at 8 p.m. Central Time on the SEC Network. Women's basketball lost to Mississippi State last Thursday in Auburn Arena 65-70. This was Coach Johnny Harris's first game against her former team. Auburn left too many points at the free throw line, and the Bulldogs shot the lights out.
Aisha Coulibaly dropped 20 points for the 3rd straight game and led the Tigers in scoring with 24. And Anastasia Hayes from Mississippi State led the game in scoring with 26 points on 53% shooting.
They are back in action on Thursday against Arkansas in Fayetteville and at home on Monday against Florida. Tip-off for the game against Florida is at 6 p.m. Central Time.
The number 3 ranked Auburn equestrian team traveled to South Carolina for the first conference game of the spring. Auburn came home with a 14-4 victory. The Tigers came home with 3 out of the possible 4 Most Outstanding Performer awards.
5th-year Helen Ulrich was awarded the MOP in flat. This marks her first MOP award of the season. Emma Kurtz earned her 3rd MOP in fences this year, and Olivia Tordoff took home the award in horsemanship. Tordoff has now won 5 of the past 6 MOPs in horsemanship.
The equestrian team comes home to face Ole Miss and Delaware State this weekend at the Auburn University Equestrian Center.
Swim and Dive hosted the Auburn Invitational and posted great times. On Friday, the men's relay qualified for the NCAA Championships with a 200-meter relay time of 1 minute and 16.82 seconds. On Saturday, the seniors were honored and put up good times.
The SEC Championships for Swim and Dive are set to start February 15th in Knoxville, Tennessee. The 4-day event is the next stop for the Tigers' 15th-ranked men's team and the 19th-ranked women's team.
Men's and women's tennis teams both took down Georgia Tech in Atlanta. The men won 4-3 and the women won 5-2. The women's team also swept both Clemson and Alabama A&M 7-0 in both competitions.
The 14th nationally ranked women's tennis team heads to Madison, Wisconsin for the ITA Nationals, and the men's team takes on South Alabama on Friday and Tulane and Alabama State on Sunday.
The 19th ranked men's golf team traveled to Hawaii this past weekend to compete in the Amer Ari Invitational. They finished 11th out of 19 with a composite score of 848 or 16 under par. They will compete in the Nexus Collegiate Tournament hosted in the Bahamas from February 14th to the 16th.
The women's team took 5th in the UCF Challenge this week, also shooting 16 under par. Sophomore Anna Foster placed 9th in the tournament, shooting 7 under par. They will compete in the Moon Golf Invitational in Melbourne, Florida from February 20th to the 22nd.
Auburn Softball starts their season on Friday with a doubleheader against Seton Hall at 2:30 and St. John's at 5 p.m. in Auburn. These games will be streamed on SEC Network Plus.
They play both teams again on Saturday, but St. John's at 2:30 and Seton Hall at 5. They finish off the busy weekend with a matchup against UMass Lowell at 12:30 on Sunday. All games are played at the Auburn Softball Complex.
When we return, we'll discuss Auburn athletics in the pros. You're watching Sports Night in Auburn.
Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. Bengals tight end C.J. Uzomah is adamant that he will play in the Super Bowl despite suffering a sprained MCL in the AFC Championship game. "I am not missing the biggest game of my life," Uzomah said on Monday. The Super Bowl is this Sunday at 5:30 Central Time on NBC.
As for the Tigers in the NBA, Isaac Okoro played in 2 games for the Cavaliers. The second-year player recorded 9 points in a win over the Hornets.
Chuma Okeke and the Magic struggled this week, losing 2 of their games by over 20 points. Okeke made his presence known against the Celtics. The power forward recorded 8 points, 3 steals, and 2 blocks. Okeke and the Magic got back to winning against the Trailblazers, where he had 18 points with 5 rebounds and an assist. For more information on Auburn athletics, be sure to check out our website at eagleeyeauburn.com and stay up to date on all things Auburn sports on our Twitter at EETV_sports. I'm Grace DeLeon.
And I'm Michaela Kelly. Thank you for watching. Good night and War Eagle.